Alright, so we're back with Halo Escalations 8, 9, and 10. I'm with Archo,
Hello.
and we're going to be checking out the comic reviews on these. He goes into depth with them. Archo's here to point out any kind of things that, well, basically, I don't know, or maybe Halo Canon might not go into as deeply as, someone like me might need to, who's just really learning the lore, stuff like that. And it's for me to make fun of all the times that Hood appears to gain 50 pounds and lose 50 pounds frame by frame. In any case, we're going to be watching Halo Escalations 8, 9, and 10 by Halo Canon. And, yeah, you got anything, Eric?
Gourd.
Good. Here we go.
Oh my god. It's here, 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 it's here. Oh yeah. The fuck is this?
I have a feeling he is not the happy.
Well, we're finally here. Escalation Issue 8. It seems like it's been a long wait, but we're finally entering the next 72-hour story arc. Our comic starts out with a brief retelling of the events of Halo 4. For some reason, they felt the need to indicate the date is July 24th, 2557, even though the Chief woke up on July 21st, and his confrontation with the Didact was on July 25th. Huh. We cut to the Chief being debriefed by the UNSC Security Council. We can really tell how frightened these guys are at the prospect of a living Forerunner, scrutinizing every detail of the Chief's actions. That is until, of course, Lord Hood tells them to chill the fuck out.
Again, what is he? Look at his eyes.
Badass Lord Hood, baby. The debriefing concludes with the Council deciding to blame the New Phoenix incident on the Covenant and to credit the victory to the Master Chief. So, gotta stop for a moment and ask a simple but probably pointless question. Why is the Master Chief in his armor? We saw him remove it at the end of Halo 4, though it could be said that the scene in question takes place after the next 72-hour story arc. Still, it's kind of strange seeing as the Chief is usually wearing his Navy uniform during debriefings. You could argue that after 4 years drifting in space, he wouldn't have access to his dress blues, but I still wonder why he's allowed to keep his helmet on. I know the real-world reason why, but it still kind of feels weird and out of place. After the meeting, Hood catches up with the Chief, apologizing for what he calls a lack of professionalism, and offers the Chief a promotion, saying that the Chief could easily be an Admiral with his record. The Chief responds, saying, "The Admiral doesn't have quite the same ring. It can be easy to forget that the Chief can crack a joke, rare though it may be." Hood goes on to tell the Chief that he has a problem and needs the Chief's advice. It seems that Oni personnel were on Gamma Halo during the attack on Ivanov Station and escorted by Black Team. Because they were on the Halo, they were actually spared from the destruction. Now, I'm actually surprised to find out that the Chief knows about Black Team since they were a Black Ops unit. I guess that's really nitpicking, though. Still, I'm excited to see Black Team back in the fold. I wonder how they got off line installation 1-4, but I guess that's probably not important to the story. We find out that Team Black and the Oni team they were escorting sent out a distress call an hour before and have since been silent. Based on what's said in the distress call, the Chief immediately thinks Prometheans and volunteers to join the team that's heading to Gamma Halo. And the team is, of course, Blue Team! Aw yeah, Blue Team is reunited and we've... The fuck is this? What is...
What is... Can they just not draw heads?
Apparently not.
This looks like something that I do on GIMP. Just cut out somebody's head and post it on there.
Blue Team have armor that looks exactly the same as the Chief's. His armor's supposed to be unique. Hell, the Halo 4 visual guide states that Blue Team is, in 2558, wearing baseline Mark 6. So what the hell, 343? And since when is Kelly a sniper? Does no one from the story team properly proofread these before they go to print? And seriously, what's with the different color sets? Fred and Kelly get blue, but Linda's gray? I guess I'm nitpicking again, but these small details are important to me and other fans.
Yes, small details are very, very important.
Yeah.
And so is drawing a head.
Well, either way, I can't wait to see Blue Team reunited. After so much time apart, I can only guess what they're going to have to say. What? That's it? A couple lines of banter and whoosh, off to Gamma Halo? The fuck, 343? This is the first time John has seen his fellow Spartan since his return to Earth after the events of Halo CE.
Oh, so these are all Spartans that are the same as him.
Yes. See, there were 75 Spartan 2s, like
Mm-hmm.
the Master Chief. About a third of them got crippled or killed during augmentation, and the rest, well, a bunch of them died in the war, but point being, most of them were separated as a matter of just operational needs. Blue Team are the Spartans that the Chief spent the vast majority of the war fighting with. It in the first Halo book, which released a week before Halo Combat Evolved, actually, Blue Team is they're very much the trying to think of an analogy, but they're the big four: Chief, Fred, Linda, and Kelly. Really.
So basically, they're essentially the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, a little bit again. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, Halo Canon is very right to be aghast because these are essentially the Master Chief's siblings, as far as he's concerned. And
Oh, so I get it now. Like this would be. All right, so I didn't say the Four Horsemen is in the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I meant the Four Horsemen. Like I'm a big wrestling nerd, and like when I was a kid, if you asked me who the Four Horsemen are, I knew who they were by name. Like old WCW, NWA, um, you know, that whole climate before it actually got big in the late '90s. But I could tell you who the Four Horsemen were off the top of my head. Wake me up from a drunken stupor. You know, I actually met two of the four original horsemen, and my father met three. But yeah, like I can see why he's upset about this now because if they did a comic and I knew that one of the horsemen wasn't around, and then like the big one is of course Ric Flair. I I assume you know who Ric Flair is.
I've heard the name before.
Okay, so basically, Ric Flair would be just do a comparison. Like everybody who knows anything about wrestling has heard the name Ric Flair, but I doubt that you've heard of Larry Sabisco, Arn Anderson, and or Ole Anderson. I doubt that you ever heard those names.
I have not.
Yeah, like I haven't heard of these three, but I know who John is. Same kind of difference for me. So, but if I knew that Ric Flair had not seen the original Horseman in a long time, and then all of a sudden, like sorry, not Larry Sabisco, Tully Blanchard. I'm an idiot, but if I knew that he hadn't seen the original Horseman in a long time, and then all of a sudden they had a reunite thing, like that would have been a really big deal if there would have been like no interaction between them, because I'd be sitting there like, okay, what am I watching? What is this garbage?
Yeah, no, that's actually a damn near perfect analogy. Because
Like when Ric Flair retired, like retired for the 16th time, but it was for real this time, and everybody thought it was the last time he'd ever do it. They brought out all the original Horsemen, and legitimately everyone who had been a fan of that, been a fan of Rick and had followed his career, instantaneously were just sitting there trying not to cry their eyes out because it was such a powerful moment, because you hadn't seen those four people in the same space together on like any televised event in like since the 80s. Since the early 90s they had not been filmed together in the same area. They had been in the same area, but they just hadn't been on the same camera, on the same card, or anything like that. But yeah, it was like a thing where I was just sitting there just looking at the screen like, oh my god, that's Tully Blanchard, that's Orn Anderson, that's Arn Anderson, and all the original Horsemen came in, it was just like, what the hell am I watching? I'm not crying, you're crying! But yeah, if that happened and like somebody was like, oh, we're gonna do a comic of the Four Horsemen, whatever, blah blah blah. Rick hasn't met the other Horsemen in fucking years, and then all of a sudden it winds up like this. I'd be pissed. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? These are the fucking original set here.
Yeah, no, yeah. Spartan 2s have known each other since they were all 6 years old in boot camp up until augmentations at age 14 and shit. The last time John saw Linda, she was in a medically induced coma because she nearly died.
And the sheer thing is, the dialogue in this is so clunky. Admiral Hood asked that I advise as an advisor for your mission. And the guy is like, oh, just as an advisor, you told the old man you're coming with, didn't you? And I'm just like sitting there going, that's not what would be said. And he wouldn't have said that to begin with.
Yep.
Show up, move your ass over, let's go. We'll stop at Space Vegas first. We've been through shit. God, I get it. I'd be pissed.
And you give them a couple panels to reunite? Hell, from Blue Team's perspective, it's been even longer since John was in cryo for 4 years. And nothing? Moving forward, the team deploys to Gamma Halo, and it isn't long before they find the corpses of the Oni team, and... Really? You bring back Team Black with no explanation how they got offline installation 1-4, and then you just kill them off? A 4-man Spartan team, and boom!
I'm really beginning to understand why he had such a problem with this at the beginning. Yeah. This is fucking annoying to me, and I'm not even vested in this.
Spartan Team Black were very popular characters who had an entire comic line to themselves, an unfinished comic line, by the way, and even a short story in an anthology. Brian Reed. The guy's first crack at writing Halo comics, this issue here, he brings them back and just kills them off.
That is fucking pathetic.
Which isn't surprising, given that Reed was in Marvel Comics.
Oh, never mind.
They just kill characters willy-nilly. Fucking Marvel.
He's gonna be like, when's the next reboot? Are we redoing the Covenant War? Fucking idiot.
Oh, Dad. Jesus Christ, what was the point of bringing them back if you were just gonna kill them?
No shit!
I can't... Error! This has got to be some of the...
That was me after I read the short story about Fulgrim and Lucius. I was so unrelentingly pissed off. I was like, there's no way that they just did that. They retconned literally the most horrifying and haunting and just awful story and just destroyed it.
Worst writing in Halo media history. I mean, I get that this is supposed to be about the Chief's personal journey, but you have to get the reader invested too. For people who don't know about Team Black, this is just more dead Spartans. And for people that do, it's an insult. We've been waiting for years to hear about the fate of Black Team, only for them to die off-screen because drama? Killing some nameless Spartan 4s would have been better. At least then, we know we don't need to be emotionally invested in them, just that the enemy being faced is a powerful and capable one.
See, everything he said there just made perfect, absolute 100% sense.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and in the very next scene, Blue Team dispatches a squad of knights, no problem. Okay, I have to call him out on this bullshit. What the fuck were you thinking, Brian Reed? No, seriously, I want to know. I need to know, because this is bullshit through and through. There is no excuse for this, especially for someone who boasts so many years in the comic industry. So getting back to the story, Blue Team follows some crawler tracks, coming across the location where the composer was originally stored on the installation. As they go deeper and deeper, they come across what I can only imagine to be the first level of hell. In fact, this is the composer's abyss, where all the composed humans were sent. As much as I have panned this series, these images are truly haunting. On the other hand, I don't know that they really belong in Halo. From the comments I've seen, this scene has really confused a number of fans as to what the composer does to a being. I just figure that there are projections, much like Cortana projects herself in a holotank, but who knows? It's very unclear.
So what does the composer do?
As the librarian explained, Forerunners had been trying for millennia to find a way to digitize a person and then convert them back into an organic form as a means of, storage and immortality and what have you. Although she notes that attempts to reorganify someone always ended in complete fucking failure and created abominations. The composer was one such experiment, and it essentially disintegrates your body, takes all your DNA, all your essence, your mind, all your memories, digitizes it, stores it, and then uses that as essentially AI formatting to create Prometheans, like crawlers and knights and watchers.
Yay. And now I see the grand old prick is back.
Meanwhile, on another planet, I think, a monitor is in distress, saying he has to tell someone about the human presence. And so, the moment we've all been waiting for, the Didact's return. Indeed, the Didact is alive and well, and I can't wait to see what he has in store for Blue Team. But seriously, did you have to have him in such a stereotypical setting? A bad guy on a throne? I'm half expecting the Didact to pet a crawler while laughing maniacally. Still, it's interesting what this planet could be. Is it simply another part of the Halo, or is it actually a new planet? Many have thought it might be Gnome Dagro, the place where he lived when he was married to the librarian, so that's up in the air. Well, that's it for issue 8. Overall, it was a decent read, but I took serious issue with a number of decisions by 343 and Brian Reed. Look, guys, if you're going to be making all these changes, take some time to explain them. Otherwise, you confuse your fans. You guys boast all the time about caring for the fiction, and while it shows at times, it's times like these that make people doubt. And you have to know that negativity leaves a much stronger impression in the short term. All it takes is that moment of doubt to lose fans forever. This has been Halo Canon. I'll see you next time, Spartans.
He sounds legitimately upset, and I don't blame him.
Halo fans are passionate.
Yes. Moving on to episode 9. That was just absolutely atrocious, though. I could not believe that. That was, just wow. Just fucking wow.
Yep.
Here we go.
Welcome back, Canonites. Here we are once again for another issue of Halo Escalation. This one feels like quite an improvement over the last one, but it's still not that great, sadly. Let's dive right in and find out why. And don't worry, you don't have to turn down your speakers. I won't be shouting as much this time around. Our story starts off with a flashback to a day prior. On Installation 03, Black Team is investigating a series of slipspace signatures near the Oni camp and mentions that Ivanov Station can't be reached. We, of course, know why. It's not long before they find the body of the Didact. Though he initially seems to be out cold, he soon wakes and, upon seeing Black Team, utters a line that I find really hilarious, actually.
More of you, unacceptable.
So, my terrible impression aside, when I read that line...
What?
More of you. Unacceptable.
Yes.
in my head, it just makes me laugh. Seriously, just pause the video, read the line here in the Didact's voice in your head. I guarantee you it'll give you a few laughs. So as the Didact presumably disposes of Black Team, again, off-screen, a monitor emerges from the composer's abyss. This is 859, Static Carillion, the monitor of the Forge world upon which composers are made. To pause a moment, this monitor's name is actually quite appropriate. 859 is the keeper of the composers, and his name, Carillion, is a type of instrument composed of 23 bells that are played by pressing keys. It's almost like a giant piano that uses bells instead of strings. So, to Brian Reed's credit, the name of this monitor is actually quite appropriate. Anyway, 859 soon comes across an army of Promethean crawlers, and then the Didact himself, covered in blood. I'll pause a moment again to wonder exactly how the crawlers got to Installation 03. Were they somehow brought through the portal when the Didact fell through? Did they come straight from Requiem? If the latter, how did they get there so quickly? Yay, more unanswered questions. So the Didact and 859 exchange some words.
I would love to hear Mahler tear this comic series apart right now. What's also convenient.
859 explaining that the portal from his forge to the composer's abyss had been opened, and when no contact could be made with 049 Abject Testament, 859 decided to investigate. Somewhat intriguing is that 859 refers to the Didact as the master of my charges. The strange part is that the composer is a builder construct, but the Didact is a warrior servant, though granted the highest rank of that rate, Promethean. So what could 859 mean? Another question for cataloger System Bravo, the Halo Twitter. Anyway, after 859 explains its presence on the ring and where the installation is, again the composer Forge, the Didact orders it to show him. So, before we move forward, let's talk about Black Team's demise. Now, it is nice to know that they were killed by the Didact directly, since it makes their death seem much more reasonable. That being said, this does not in any way make up for how the team was treated in the last issue. I stand by my previous statements. It's a disservice to these characters and an insult to those of us who knew them. Moving forward. We're now back with Blue Team on the composer's forge. Giving credit where credit is due, it's kind of interesting to see what could be something like a Forerunner.
I'm guessing this is about the same as, Rey telling Luke that Han was dead, and we didn't get to see it, Luke react to that at all. Because Rey...
Kelly even notes that Dr. Halsey would be amazed by the installation. As Blue Team continues to explore, they find 6 new composers, and of course, the Didact himself, who seems to be in possession of an activation index. As Blue Team opens fire, the Didact uses Earthquake. It's super effective. After a brief monologue, the Didact unleashes newly created Prometheans instead of taking out Blue Team himself. Because, of course. Fresh off an overkill, and he decides to let his Prometheans, machines which John was able to mow through during the events of Halo 4, take on Blue Team. Yeah, great plan there, Didact. As Blue Team...
The plot armor is strong.
Fights for their lives, 859 Static Carillion reappears and accuses the Didact of breaking their agreement, which involved not making more Promethean Knights. The Didact dismisses the accusation, saying that the Knights will soon be dispatched to Requiem, and then demands that the Monitor fulfill its end of their agreement. Fear-stricken, 859 notes that it is being done, and Installation 03 appears in the sky. So back with Blue Team, fighting for their lives against Prometheans with Promethean weapons appropriately, 859 decides to introduce itself to Blue Team because, why not? 859 explains that the Didact is now in possession of Installation 03, intending to repair damages caused by humans. Funny enough, the Monitor notes that the Didact blames humans for a number of things. So as the Monitor goes on, we do learn something interesting about the composer. 859 says that the minds of the new Prometheans are being added to the whole, which seems to imply that a hive mind-like connection exists between the Knights, and presumably anything that was composed. 859's exact quote is, "Their memories are being added to the whole, as was of course the plan when the composer was built. But they also bring terror, they bring fear, they bring rage and confusion." So, I'm really not sure what 859 means here. Is he connected to this network and feeling the emotions of these composed humans? What is this whole to which he's referring? Obviously Chakas, Forthenko, and other composed humans weren't added to it, or at least they never mentioned anything like it. Anyway, the Monitor further reveals that the Didact intends to use Installation 03 on Earth to wipe out humanity from the galaxy. His time in the Cryptum really did drive this guy insane. Right up until the end of the Forerunner Flood War, the Ur Didact was strongly opposed to the use of the Halo rings, even berating his copy, the ISO Didact, for giving in to the Builder-created plan. Now, after 100...
What are these scenes from?
The terminal videos from Halo 4, which I'm now realizing we probably should have had you watch, but we'll get to that.
1,000 years of solitude, he's ready for mass genocide. But on a more serious
Hey, because good times rhyme with the war crimes.
Yes.
note, let's consider what might really be happening here. The Didact is replacing the lost composer on Installation 03, and he has the activation index. It was speculated by ONI scientists that the index could have secondary and even tertiary applications.
Okay, specimen 2006. The artifact is believed to be the activation index for Gamma Halo, based on anecdotal information from Alpha and Delta Halo mission logs. Key component in the activation and firing of the Halo weapon. Few of us have been speculating lately if it has secondary and tertiary purposes as well. Theories still forthcoming.
One theory that's gaining momentum is that the Didact will use the Halo to amplify the composer's signal, perhaps allowing him to compose all of Earth in a matter of seconds. That's truly a terrifying thought. Back to our story, 859 decides to help Blue Team against the Didact, not because of the intended genocide. It notes that it could care less if all of humanity were wiped out, but because the Didact violated their agreement by bringing Promethean Knights to the Composer Forge. With 859's help, Blue Team is able to make it back to Gamma Halo and out of the Composer's abyss, just as a new Composer is put in its place. Just as things seem safe, the Didact reappears and starts to deal with Blue Team, by which I mean Fred, Kelly, and Linda. John somehow avoided being seen and is able to sneak up on the Didact and stab him in the eye. Without flinching, the Didact grabs the Chief and starts crushing his skull, and thus ends the comic. So, certainly an improvement, but still fraught with flaws. I swear, this story arc is turning the Didact into the worst supervillain since any bad guy from a James Bond movie. He kills off Black Team without a second thought, but feels the need to let his Prometheans deal with Blue Team later. It's only once he loses a freaking eye that he decides, I guess I should probably deal with this shit. I mean, it was forgivable in the campaign since the Didact didn't know how much of a threat the Chief could be. As we see at the end of Halo 4, the Didact was done messing around with the Spartan and about to finish him off. The only thing that saved John were Cortana's actions. And now in Escalation, the Didact has to lose a freaking eye to decide to crush John's skull. Never mind that there's no real suspense since we know the Chief survives. And then there's the new composers. How much do you want to bet that they're not going to be relevant after the conclusion of this story arc? Can you imagine how confusing Halo 5 would be, especially for fans who didn't read the comics if the Didact showed up with a new composer? Even tossing that aside, it kind of cheapens Halo 4's story for me. We went through all that effort to stop the Didact, and in barely a day, he gets his hands on a brand spanking new composer.
Yeah, like, the previous episodes were kind of good. I was enjoying the reviews of those, but this is just getting to the point where it's like, oh, look, big new threat. Oh, look, we stopped Thanos, but, oh, he found one on eBay. The fuck?
Now, I know what you're thinking. Toa, Bungie did the same thing with Delta Halo and Halo 2. Arguably, yes. But that does not make it okay. In addition, we at least knew that there were other Halos in the galaxy.
Is it true?
More or less. Technically, this installation's pulse has a maximum effective radius of 25,000 light years. But once the others follow suit, this galaxy will be quite devoid of life.
All of Halo 4 makes a huge deal about this one composer, as if it were the last one. Yeah, we know there used to be a lot, but the expanded universe always seemed to imply, at least to me, that these other units were decommissioned or destroyed. It just felt so cheap. So, with a sigh, let's bring this to an end. Escalation 9 was better, but still flawed, yada yada yada. I am somewhat more excited for issue 10 than I was for this one, but I'm not really getting my hopes up. Looking forward, issues 11 and 12 will be dealing with a new mysterious bioweapon, as recently revealed, and many fans seem to believe that it will have to do with the bioweapon Locke and company will be hunting down in Halo Nightfall. This would certainly be an exciting story arc if that turns out to be true, but as I often say, only time will tell. Well, thanks for joining me, guys, for another review of...
they're just the writers of this comic. They were starting out okay, and then they just seem to fall into this trap that they have to make everything completely threatening all the time. We can't advance the storyline without making some massive, huge play.
Well, as noted, Christopher Schlurf ended his employment at 343 after issue 6, and Brian Reed has taken over now.
Yeah, this is just not good. Not good.
Not good.
Alright, here we go. Issue 10.
Welcome back to Halo Canon, everyone. As I'm sure you've noticed, I didn't really make an attempt at a humorous intro this time around. What could that mean, you ask? Well, simply put, I didn't really have any major bullshit to complain about this time. While the art is still horrendous and the pacing is nothing short of terrible, I found that overall this issue wasn't that bad, and the ending was actually quite enjoyable. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. We start pretty much where the last issue left off. John is in the Didact's clutches, his head about to be popped like a grapefruit. Blue Team tries to distract the Didact, so the Didact throws John at them. Come
What the fuck? That is so dumb. Ugh.
Yeah.
Come on, Didact. You said you were...
What?
The best trope: grab, prey, throw, grab, throw, instead of just fucking killing the guy.
It's like, why? You legitimately have him. You're crushing his helmet. It's game over, man. Just tighten two fists. And, oh god, I'm hitting play.
You were done fucking around in the last issue, and now just as you're about to kill John, you throw him at Blue Team,
First page, pure stupidity.
effectively freeing him? You can manipulate gravity with your armor. You could brush Blue Team aside with the flick of your wrist. Literally. Okay, I know I said I liked this issue, but heads up, there is still some stupid bullshit. That all said, the next scene does finally seem to respect the Halo source material. While Fred is busy catching John with his body, Kelly is able to dodge and get a shot in on the Didact, while also opening a window for Linda to get in on the action. Unfortunately for them, the Didact remembers that he's an 11-foot walking tank and disarms the Spartans. It's at this point that we get one of the most confusing lines in the issue. Something's happening! He's shaking off direct hits! Okay.
Why are they being so stupid, Archo?
Brian Reed is cringe.
Why? This is cringe.
Brian Reed is cringe.
Cringe.
And I really don't get this line. The Didact has done nothing but shake things off the whole time. The guy is fighting with a freaking knife in the eye, and the fact that he's taking shots to his highly advanced armor is the surprising part? God damn the writing in this story arc. With Blue Team all but defeated, the Didact finally pulls out the knife from his chest. You know, I haven't really directly complained about the art for a while, so let's talk. This scene right here, it looks like he's pulling the knife from his chest. I mean, come on, Dark Horse. These are supposed to be professional comic artists, and they can't even get perspective right? Moving forward, the Didact allows Fred to shoot him in the face, because reasons. Okay, let's stop and talk again. There are two main schools of thought concerning this scene. The first is, what? Like, why would the Didact allow this? Sure, he can take it. Sure, he knows that he can take it, but that doesn't make it any less...
Why? This has gone from borderline fucking stupid to outright idiocy. In 3 panels, his mood has completely shifted. I will grant you the gift of dying a warrior. Get shot in the face. we are done here. Motherfucker, decide.
Brian Reed brought every bad trope from superhero comics.
It's so bad.
Confusing. The other is that some part of the old Didact from before he was corrupted is still in there. Recall his treatment of Forthenko before the Lord of Admirals was composed.
Know this, relentless enemy, killer of our children, Lord of Admirals. Soon we will face the enemy you have faced. And we are afraid.
Could some part of the Didact still be in there? Could this be hinting that the Didact might finally find redemption? A number of lore fans have been considering such a story arc in future media, and if that were part of 343's plan, this moment suddenly makes a lot more sense. Anyway, just as the Didact is about to finish fucking around, again, 859 Static Carillion shows up to teleport the Didact to, as we soon find out, the Halo's control room.
Archo is stupid.
Well, I mean, the monster has control of the Halo Ring's teleportation system.
Oh, God.
According to Carillion, it was the only choice he had. Luckily, the activation index was somehow not teleported with him. Given the Didact's location and his immunity to anything else Blue Team can throw at him, John decides to use the only weapon that the Didact can't adapt to, the Halo Ring itself. We flash forward to the Didact in the control room, noting that something must be up, and John shows up just in time to confirm it, Blue Team having returned to their longsword. They exchange words because, shit, it's not like the Didact...
Okay, wait. Okay, I'm hitting play.
Didact wants to kill John or anything, and John places the activation index into the control panel. The Didact rightly asks John why he would resort to such a plan, to fire the Halo to kill him, and John notes that while this was his original plan, Static Carillion reminded him that Halo had an effective range of 25,000... Oh.
Brian
My
Reed.
mistake. It seems that the Halos only have an effective range of 25 light years, not 25,000. I guess all the media up until now is wrong, right? Or perhaps it's just another technical oversight, right? Right?
So, legitimately, you just finished pit fighting this guy. He tried to crush your skull. You stabbed him in the eye. And now you're going to talk. You're going to walk in carrying the key of the very thing that he's after to kill your entire species. And he's just going to allow you to do this shit right in front of him. And then just walk out like, yeah, I'm going home, bro. The fucking... Brian Reed is cringe.
Yes.
So Static Carillion had proposed a different plan. As John braces himself, he reveals this plan to the Didact. Step 1, deactivate the Halo's safety protocols. Step 2, eject their section of the ring to the planet below. And let's stop and talk again. In Halo Primordium, it was revealed that Halos could indeed shed damaged sections. This is further expanded upon in Halo Silentium. At the time, I was under the impression that this was a feature unique to the original 12-ring array, but it seems that I was mistaken. So initially this seemed kind of frustrating to me, but as I thought more about it, it could be argued that the feature was a good safety protocol and could easily have been included in the new Halo design. Anyway, the section of Halo crashes on the Composer's Forge, and then... I'm actually not sure what happened. At first glance, it looks like something exploded and disintegrated the Didact, but I'm not sure what. I would think that part of the control room did it, but in the next scene the whole control room looks entirely intact. As I look over the scene more...
So, let me get this right.
No. Let it play.
Okay.
carefully, it finally occurred to me what must have happened. The Didact was composed. If we look carefully, he lands next to the 5 remaining composers. The very next page, we see the familiar orange energy associated with the composer, and the final scene is very reminiscent of the composition process. Of course, the major problem here is...
That leaves only the composer. It will not work on my new form.
So, how could the Didact be composed if he's immune? Could something have happened that involves the composers but isn't composition? Let's look again at the exact words the didact uses.
It will not work on my new form.
The composer will not work on his new form. What exactly does that mean? A lot of fans automatically assume this means immunity, since those are the words that the librarian uses when she advances John's evolution.
Reclaimer, the gene song I placed within you contains many gifts, including an immunity to the composer. But it must...
However, when we look at the scene where John is exposed to the composer's radiation, it still affects him. Not in the way it's meant to, but it still knocks him out. So could immunity be the wrong word? Might resistance be the actual word? Could it be that more composers would actually do the work? Or could it be that the composers would work on the didact, but not turn him into an AI? Or maybe it just comes down to more bullshit. On board the Longsword, it is revealed that the mod...
Okay. I must now go back to my original point. They fell from orbit onto the planet. And then the very next scene, John is like jogging out of the door.
Apparently.
Monitor was able to teleport John off the ring in time. With all seemingly well, Static Corellian takes the Halo from stairs in safekeeping. Where he's taking it, though, is unknown. Could this further hint at a return to the Ark? Is there another installation out there capable of repairing a Halo? So many questions, and this is one part of the comic I absolutely love. Solid groundwork for a future subplot. Back at Earth, a full 72 hours after the attack on New Phoenix, John is debriefed by Lord Hood, who orders him and Blue Team to relax.
Hood reversed age 30 fucking years.
Yes.
And their armor's fucked.
Instead, John returns to his team, telling them they've been ordered back into the field. When Kelly asks where, John replies, "Anywhere we're needed." The comic ends with a discussion between two unknown Oni agents, commenting on Lord Hood's anger regarding John's disobeying his orders, and noting that John is refusing to stop, taking one mission after another. Our final words from these agents are, "Something's gotta give. He can't keep doing this to himself forever."
Yeah, but if he wants to destroy himself, hell, who's gonna stop him?
I got chills reading this for the first time. So let's break down these final scenes. John is certainly showing signs of PTSD. He doesn't want to stop, to be forced to think about what happened to Cortana and likely the loss that he's experienced throughout his life. He's close to a breaking point, and only 343 knows what will happen when the floodgates finally open. We know that John is disobeying orders from Lord Hood. Could it be that John, and perhaps Blue Team with him, will go AWOL between now and Halo 5, prompting Hood to send Agent Locke after him? And if Blue Team is indeed with John, it's exciting to think about the co-op possibilities for Halo 5. I love the idea that Blue Team could be co-op characters, and if they do stick with John, that's certainly a possibility. I know at this point someone is going to point out the fact that John was alone in the E3 2013 trailer, but remember this is just a concept trailer, much like any Halo announcement video. What we've seen isn't necessarily going to be reflected in the final product. It's also important that we talk about the didact. We see him disintegrated or composed or whatever. But at the end, John is reluctant to say that the didact is dead or defeated. Contained is the exact word used. We've known for a while that the didact is supposed to be a recurring character throughout the Reclaimer saga, so we know he's not dead. I would again cite the fact that Jewel Umdama seems to have easy access to a number of Requiem systems in Spartan Ops, and that the Prometheans readily obey his orders. I can only imagine that such command would only be given by the didact himself. We also have to wonder how the Prometheans from Installation 03 would have gotten to Requiem, or how Jewel would have gotten his hands on a Promethean soul without the didact's help. So many questions that can only be answered by the didact's survival. So in the end, I did like this issue more than the last two if my lack of shouting has been any indication, but really, that's only because of the ending. The Chiefs, not the didacts. Overall, this story arc was a horrid waste of time, though for different reasons than I had originally thought. And it didn't feel like it advanced anything. It's almost like reading Mortal Dictata again, minus the blinding rage. Sort of.
What was wrong with Mortal Dictata besides the stuff that, yeah.
Mortal Dictata, third part of Karen Travis's books. I don't actually remember much specific about it. I've not seen Halo Canon's review of that either, so...
Okay.
Looking forward, the next several issues will be written by a new writer, and I can only hope he brings something fresh to the table. Recently, the cover for issue 13 was revealed, along with the description.
Requiem has been destroyed. But the real war between Commander Serapol's Spartans and Jewel of Dama's new covenant is just beginning. And everything hinges on control of one, all-powerful artifact.
There is a Covenant cultist leader outside. What I have is not for him.
Huh.
This summer, Halo Escalation.
Okay.
So, assuming that Dark Horse isn't
Cool.
I'm not sure what the hell the point of that was. but-
I don't know either.
bullshitting us again, what could this mean? I like that we're getting back to Jewel's story, but what is this new artifact? Could it be the Janus key? Could it be the Absolute Record, the Ark, something else? My first instinct would say the Janus key, since that's where Spartan Ops left off, but only time will tell. Anyway, that's it for this issue of Halo Escalation. Stay tuned to Halo Canon, and I'll see you next time, Spartans.
That was legitimately those three episodes. That was painful.
Brian Reed is...
Yeah. Oh,
It gets better after this.
I hope so, because that was bad. It just... It's like, I hope that they just need to get rid of the Marvel writer.
Yes.
Okay, so that was Escalations 8, 9, and 10. I'm hoping to find out some more stuff. This is interesting, but God, these last three episodes, like the last three, I don't know how you get through that as a fan.
We ignore it.
Yeah, it's like, that's like breakthrough window type of shit. Anyhow. So, Halo 5, the Halo 4 terminals, the Halo 3 terminals, the Halo ODST terminals. I have a lot of stuff still to watch.
There aren't any terminals for Halo 3. Or ODST. Halo 3's terminals were just a bunch of text.
Oh, okay.
I'll see about getting the Halo 4 terminals set up.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll be catching you guys next time. Like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. And on behalf of myself and Archo,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.